What's going on, everybody? You are connected to the High on Life podcast number 3. And I got Justice with me. I got Zach Mox over here right with me. And I'm your host.
And I'm your broke character already.
Yeah, I'm your host, Joshua Laplap. Just want to welcome everybody that's listening to the podcast, either if you're watching us or you're listening online. We got Ben running the show back here. We got Top Maz on secondary camera over there. And we also got Arjun back there. And we also have a special guest in the building. It's Andre at the back.
What up, Andre?
We also had pizza. That's what I like. I like pizza.
They wouldn't let me eat it on camera.
Yeah, we can't eat. We can't be eating at all on camera. No, we are banning those sounds forever.
We don't want to ruin that pretty shirt of yours.
You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and what else do we have? YouTube, Twitter, Instagram,
Anchor?
on Facebook as well.
MySpace.
Yeah,
ICQ.
Yeah, or MSN Messenger, or BBM or something.
AOL.
Okay. Yeah, all that stuff.
Let's go.
You can follow us on Anchor and Spotify. You can actually also leave us a voice message. And if you leave a cool voice message, we might play it back online. I haven't really checked it.
We will play it back online, absolutely.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
And we are sponsored by nobody.
Yeah, yet.
No. I thought
your
you got this
sponsor here. I haven't done any emails yet.
Okay, all right.
So anyone that's listening, your name could be here.
All right, Justice is going to get on that sponsorship.
Yeah, you're going to hear from me.
Yeah,
right
for sure.
Here, probably in front of my face.
Exactly.
So yeah, anyway, let's just jump right into it, guys. I'm here, you're here.
I'm here.
This is the
We're
guest.
here.
This guy is the guest.
Great guest.
His name is Zachary Moxley.
You are our first
What is going on?
high on life guest, so that's
I
pretty
feel honored.
amazing.
I feel
Number
absolutely
3.
honored right now.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you. You look great.
Yeah, so I looked you up on Facebook, okay?
We creeped you.
Yeah, and your about section says cinematographer and certified UAV pilot. And it got me thinking, yeah, UAV is the right term, not drone.
No.
Right.
UAV is an unmanned aircraft.
Okay.
Unmanned air vehicle.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the right term.
Learn
I
us,
hope so.
please.
And a drone is actually something that's... I don't actually know the correct definition for a drone, but I know that UAV is the correct.
Okay.
All of us layman's use drone.
Although real humans, day-to-day humans use
Right,
drone.
for sure. It's like UAV is like the insider term.
The insider.
Yeah, the professional
term. The big
term.
boy, the professional term.
Yeah, so everyone, just so you know, Zach is very prominent on Instagram. He's at Down to Film on Instagram, and he has a pretty exciting career doing what? What do you do on Instagram with your Instagram?
That's a good
What
question.
do you do?
Well, where are we? Are we going from the top here?
Yeah,
Are we going
let's
from
just
the middle here.
let's just get right into it, man.
Wherever you want to start.
Yep.
Okay, wherever we want to start. Okay, well, I could start how I got into it.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so like Josh had said, I am a cinematographer, director. I'm gonna take these off. For the time being. I'm not that fast.
Not fast
We'll get
right
into
now.
that later.
We'll get into that
We'll
later. I'll
explain
put
the
them back on
sunglasses.
for
Yeah.
that section. These are kind of bright.
My man.
So I got into it when I was about 13 years old, and how I originally got into it was all my friends skied, skateboarded, biked, did kind of everything, and I myself was 300 pounds. I was a very large child, and I wasn't quite as good as all my friends at these sports or skiing or trampoline. So of course I just picked up the camera, and I mean, I'm forever grateful for it, because a lot of my friends are, maybe they're not skiing anymore, maybe they're not biking anymore, and I've managed to create a path through this wild journey. So I originally got into it. I was filming skiing for all of my friends and the Canadian Olympic team, the American Olympic team, some of the bigger skiers in the ski industry, Gus Kenworthy, Tom Wallish, who were very prominent in the ski industry. So I was making these little videos, 3 to 5 minute videos, specifically for the people. I did a few brand videos. I went down to Colorado a couple times, shot with some Olympic athletes down there. And that's kind of where it took off. Originally I was shooting, like I said, 3 to 5 minute videos and just posting those online, and the internet loved them. I mean,
Yeah.
for the ski industry, I mean, 50 to 100,000 views couple
That's pretty
views,
big,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
And
it's,
you grew up in Whistler, right?
yeah, so I grew up in Whistler, which is, I mean, I guess the adventure capital of Canada or BC, or at least
Something like
at least
that.
the winter,
Yeah.
something like that. And yeah, just it opened so many doors because we'd have all these amazing athletes come to Whistler to ski.
Yeah.
And so it was really easy for me, even being so young, to just reach out and be like, hey, can I come film? Can I just tag along? Can I shoot with you guys? And it actually led into me shooting for some of the bigger production companies, Level 1 Productions, Matchstick Productions, Poor Boys Productions. And these were all the biggest of the film, the ski film companies. So for me at the time when I was 13, 14, to be shooting for these companies was like such an amazing feat. Like, it was like so stoked. And I mean, I wasn't getting paid. I think Poor Boys might have paid me $200.
Yeah.
One of these other Level 1 paid me, I had a few shoots where they paid me $200, but at the time I was just so excited to
when
be.
you're 13, 14,
Exactly.
making $200 is great.
$200 and like living at home, all that money would just go right back into my camera gear.
Of course.
So
yeah.
I'd be constantly just putting all my money back in my camera gear, but I'd be building this reputation in the ski industry. That's kind of where the Down to Film came from. It started in the ski industry. That's my Instagram username.
That's a good name.
And it's a great name.
Great name.
Okay. And I guess long story short is there's a few times where I'd be on board for these ski shoots up in Whistler, and I think one of the most memorable ones, I must have been like 14 at the time, and I reached out to one of the skiers. I'm like, hey, can I come along? Can I tag along and shoot? And I think they're all shooting on like reds and stuff, and they're like, oh, this little peewee 14-year-old, like he's coming along with
What were you shooting with?
his DS. I think I had a 60D at the time, or
Wow.
shot like 720 at 60. I don't know, shot
Something like that.
something low, but
That's incredible though, because like I'm thinking when I was 13, 14, I had a paper route.
Oh, okay.
And then I started working in like a white spot kitchen. Like and just hearing all these young guns like you starting so early, picking up a camera, and then, shortly after being picked up by people, I think it's amazing. I think that's completely inspirational for anyone that's listening out there who's young. But like, it's a great story, man. I appreciate that you started so young. And so my question to you is after you kind of picked it up, like as a hobby, I guess, to shoot your friends, how long did it take for you to kind of start working with brands?
Well, I think like from there, I transitioned a little bit out of the ski industry.
Yeah.
I shot skiing for, from 13 to 20, or maybe a little shorter, 13 to 19. And then I moved to Vancouver. And at that point I'd do a few ski shoots every year, and I still do, but it's a lot less frequent. I'd be going out every weekend to shoot skiing.
Yeah.
Whether that's in the park, in the backcountry. So I transitioned out of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not a ton of money in the ski industry. I'd love to shoot it. It's a fun thing to shoot, but when you're living on your own, you have to make means, right?
And you have to mature. You have to
exactly. So you have to
develop.
be making money in some sense. So I'd take on the occasional ski shoot, whether that be like overseas or whether that be up north, whenever they'd come up, because I still love to shoot it. But transitioning from there, I got really into the tourism industry,
industry.
So, and I think this is kind of where the drone stuff starts to come in. I'm not sure where we want to segue, but
that sounds like a pretty good time right there.
I think I got from the ski industry. I was doing a few jobs, and drones were becoming so hot. I think we started on something called the DJI S800.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, no, it has I believe it had 6 arms, and it was just like this big
I've
craft,
seen
like
those.
these like massive craft. And we still fly crafts that size, but this craft would only carry a camera this big, right? So you'd be flying on this massive drone with like, an SD downlink and like no return to home, and you'd be like just like throwing it up there and kind of throwing it out into the wild. And I think a few of the shoots we'd go on, we wouldn't even have a video downlink. So I'd just be like guessing if the camera's pointing.
You'd pray to God that
exactly.
You'd be flying blind.
We put a GoPro, and this was when we were using like the Phantom 1, but we put a GoPro on it, and you could put a downlink, but I think my friend couldn't afford it. So we just threw it to the wild, and then you would like pull back and hope that it got the shot.
Wow.
But on one of the shoots, and this was like just as I was transitioning out of the ski industry, we had 3 days to shoot a piece. So it was like a 3-minute piece. So I had 3 days to go out and shoot an action piece, and it was biking, skiing, skateboarding. anything that you could like do in 3 days in Whistler, and it's called the GoPro Go Show. So this is where we threw up the drone and tried to get the shots we got, and they turned out. So we ended up winning the contest. It's 72 hours. You had to throw the piece together, and then we presented them. And when we actually presented them, it was at a bar that was 21 plus, and I was like, I couldn't go. I was like 16 at the time, or 17.
Wow.
And so my mom like knows everyone in town, so we kind of just like
Worked it out.
kind of like worked it out
Yeah.
and made it in there. And then next thing you know, I'm winning, and everyone's like fired up, and the manager's like freaking out because I'm in there and I'm underage, but I'm winning, so they're kind of like don't know what to do with it.
I'm sure they can
Just like,
bend the rules on that one.
Exactly, kind of bend the rules. But that was kind of like one of the more memorable
it's a
experiences.
huge accomplishment.
Yeah, no, that was a fun one for
I
sure.
think there's so much merit in like jumping on to like drones. Like I kind of saw them out. I didn't really want to get one because I just thought like I can't afford them, or I wouldn't know how to pilot it. There was so many things that I kind of in my own mind I just didn't want to do it. And then there's guys like you just jumped on it right away, and now you're a certified pilot. You're getting paid to do it all around the world. I think there's tons of merit in just kind of jumping into a new thing like that and mastering it right away. So
Of course, and I think at least I've seen this industry of drones develop like a crazy amount.
Yeah.
Like
In the
I
past
was
couple
saying,
years,
when we started, we were on this big DJI S800, and it was like threw it into the wild. And then my first drone that I actually bought was an Inspire 1. Kind of a big drone to buy for your first one, but it had everything. It had the downlink that would like be HD to your phone, and it was like the perfect drone, right? Like you put this thing in the air and you had like a 4K image quality right in the air, and it was like mind blowing that you could get this image that would fit on your back, right? And everyone was freaking out because all these people that I knew were flying these big single rotor helis that were like just terrifying because they're gas powered. Some of them are gas powered.
Wow.
Like,
Oh my God.
They're just like, they would chop you
Those
up.
are
to
the big
bits.
guns, man.
The big guns, exactly. So
which one did we have on the American road trip?
We had the Inspire 1
Yeah.
that we crashed, and we had the Phantom 3 that we crashed, I think, twice.
I could give you guys a crash story.
Yeah,
about
we
crash
are.
story.
Yeah, for sure.
We're on probably like accumulatively, we're probably on drone like double digits now. 10, maybe?
Wow.
I'm double digits for sure.
I'm not even sure about
I just
that.
crashed mine at Garibaldi. Actually, Kenton crashed mine. But that's 2 right there.
My
Yeah, give us
goodness.
a drone story, a good crash story that you have.
Oh, okay.
Or near miss.
Yeah.
So
that doesn't get you in trouble.
Let's go with the first one.
Okay, perfect.
Stoked. Buy my first drone, Inspire 1. I'm fired up.
Yeah.
Like, this drone's amazing. I'm like, let's go to the island. Let's go shoot some stuff on the island. So the whole weekend we're out on the island. We're capturing stuff on these beautiful beaches, forests, bridges, like all these amazing places the island has to offer. And I'm like, I'll head north to Tofino for the night. And on the way up, there's a place called Cathedral Grove. And so I'm like, I love this place, these massive big trees. It would look amazing overhead. So I run into Cathedral Grove. I get a few shots like flying through the forest. And I get to this river, and I'm like, oh, it'd be great to get a shot like looking down into the forest. So I pop the drone up, and I go into the forest, and I'm looking down, and then my phone crashes. And that's what's using to like, that's what all drones pretty much use now to stream. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'll just like hold here for a sec. I'll refresh my phone, and it's not refreshing. There's nothing that's working. So I start to freak out. And so I press the return to home button on my controller, and I wait, and I wait, and I wait, and I hear it, and I'm like, oh, it's coming back. So I start to use the sticks to bring it back closer to me, and then I don't hear it anymore. And then I'm like, okay. I press it again, and it starts coming home again. I hear it again. I grab the sticks, and I start going forward.
Wow.
And I don't hear it again. And what I must have been doing is because when it returns to home, it turns it around.
Okay.
So it was flying towards me. So when I was pressing forward, or when I was pressing backwards because I thought it was facing that way, it was flying away from me. And so then I don't hear it. And I don't hear it. And I don't hear it. And like 10 minutes goes by, and I'm like, okay, this sucks. This really sucks. I just lost my $4,000 drone that I just spent
man.
so much work
It makes my
for.
heart sink just
No
thinking of it.
insurance. And long story short, devastated. I like put signs up in the forest. I have like someone from Vancouver come over, and like he tries to find it with his drone because he thinks it might be in the trees.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm not going to find this thing. Like, oh, it's such a bummer. Like, brand new drone, whatever. I'll buy a new one. But I'm like, at the time, I'm devastated. I'm like, I mean, not in tears, but I'm like, oh, this is the worst day ever. So
It is an awful feeling.
4 days later, I'm back in Whistler, and I'm just like kind of brainstorming what I can do. I need a drone. I'm going to Mexico. I want to bring a drone to Mexico. And I get a call, and it's this old lady, and she's like, I think I found your drone. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, where are you? Like, what can I do? How can I get it? And she's like, come over to the island and you can come pick it up. I'm like, okay, I'll be there in like 4 hours. So I rip down, I hop on the first ferry to Horseshoe Bay, and I meet her in Nanaimo. And she has my drone, and it's in perfect condition. And what she was saying is she was in the forest, popping a squat, taking a pee in the bushes, and she looked to her left.
That's an island girl for you.
She looked to her left, and it was just sitting there, perfectly perched. It got a little bit of damage because of the moist, the wet.
Yeah.
From her? I'm just joking.
Like that.
And then, long story short, it wasn't working, so I just sent it back to DJI. But it was great because I got the drone back.
They repaired it, obviously.
They repaired it.
Okay.
But this is where it gets worse. I get it back from repair, and I go to test flight. I get it back like 8 weeks later because DJI at the time is like, when they're taking forever to repair things. So I get it back from DJI, go to fly it, drops 35 feet out of the sky, 45 feet out of the sky, and just boom.
Damn.
And I'm like, what? Like, what just happened? So I'm like, just flabbergasted. Like, thankfully, DJI replaced it because they're like, okay, we just sent you this drone. I think it was my fault. Like, I think, and this
probably was.
This is on record now.
Yep.
This is on record now. I think I cut the motors out in the middle of the air. But
that would probably make it drop.
DJI used to have this thing where you'd go both sticks out, and it just cuts the motors. Now they have a little more sequential where you have to go like one stick out, press the home button for like 3 seconds.
That's why I knocked mine off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't do that.
Anyways, that was my one drone crash.
Well, no one got hurt.
No one got hurt.
Good.
No one got
That's
hurt.
good.
I've had like a disaster of drone crashes since then, but a lot of them have been drone failures. So, I mean, there's some that you have when you're trying complex shots, and I think, some people say, "Oh, I never crash," but then you look at their stuff, and they're not.
Right.
They're not taking these risks, and you got to in some case, and obviously be safe, but you got to take the risk to get that really amazing shot. Like, I don't know if you guys are watching some of Sam Colder's shots lately, but they're just like,
oh my god, the last one he did on Instagram, I still don't know how he did that.
They're amazing. They're like through the trees. They're these epic like scenes, and he's like, one of them's like flying through a tent, and then like water drips in front of the lens and flies through it. And you're like,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, these are very choreographed.
That's true though. Like, I mean, I watched like Alexi Rec, everyone else flying the drones when we were on the road trip and everything we did, and we crashed a lot. Like, I think we went through at least 4 drones and the Inspire on the road trip. And I was like, at first, like, why are you guys crashing these drones? But like, you look at the footage and they're risking it. They're flying it in temperatures or weathers you're not supposed to. But the stuff they came out with, it was worth, I guess, all the drones that we crashed in the end, which was but if you're just going to fly it around, like, I met a couple people in Bali that still had their Mavic Pro for the last 2 years, but I've seen some of their footage and it's pretty, everything's like a pull away. It's like, well, you're not going to run into anything.
You're like high and wide.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay.
I did want to talk about like your journey towards being like a commercial drone pilot, because I think that's just like a kind of like a profession that's becoming more and more prevalent.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, what do you have to do in order to get to to that place?
Well, so I guess like the commercial drone pilot scene right now, it's a bit of a weird one. In the States, you have to take a test.
Right.
You can become a drone pilot pretty easily.
Okay.
In Canada, for the past, since it's been a thing, you've had to submit something called a SFOC, Special Flight Operation Certificate, and this process, it's rigorous. You submit, it takes like 40 to 60 days, and then they say, yeah, you can fly there, but there's all these rules, 30 meters away from this, 100 feet away from this, kind of like ton of different rules. So it's very like rule based, and there's no specific license. But what happens after you submit enough SFOCs is you get a blanket certificate, and you can fly anywhere. Obviously, there's certain conditions, like you still have to keep away from people, you still have to keep away from buildings, as long as if that building's a part of the operation or if that person's a part of the operation, you can still fly within them. So when I got into the scene, of course, it was like a pretty renegade scene, and everyone was just going and flying these commercial jobs. Right. And I did a few too. Hopefully Transport Canada doesn't come after me there, but I didn't do any.
Good boy.
But I did a few too, and no, I didn't. And then I'm like, okay, well, I have to do this legit. Like, if I'm going to pursue this as a career, I have to do this legit. I have to submit. I have to So I submitted a few. I think I submitted 2 or 3, and I did 2 or 3 jobs, and then I realized it was kind of like wearing. Like it's a wearing process, and I just want to fly. I want to do the cinematography aspect of things. I want to direct the things. So I was lucky enough to come across a company, Rareborn Cinematics, that I do a lot of work for, and we partner together on certain projects, and I do some of their directing, some of their DPing, and so I work with them closely. They handle paperwork, and you can kind of go both ways. Like I can still submit if I want to, but it's a very like what's happening right now in the next few maybe 6 months to a year is Canada is actually going to allow a drone license. So they're gonna implement a test or whatever it is, and the people who have done it with the SFOCs might get grandfathered in. They might still have to do the test. No one really knows. It's kind of still a bit of a loose industry, but they're going to go and they're going to make this thing a little more streamlined, right? They're going to make it a test, and then you can apply for the test, and then you get a license, and then you can fly anywhere, or depending on what your restrictions are. So some people who maybe do the bigger test, or some people who do an easier test can fly in this certain place, can fly in a built up area. You have to have this amount of insurance to fly here, or this amount of insurance to fly there, right?
Gotcha. Wow. Tons of rules and regulations.
Tons of rules and regulations, but it's honestly like the way the industry is, it's necessary, because I mean, like I was saying, with that first drone crash and like the other drone crashes that I've had, like overseas, I was in Asia and the drone fell 150 feet out of the sky.
They're not small, especially the Inspire.
Especially the Inspire. The Inspire would come down on a human, and
it
could be fatal. Right?
I actually agree with a lot of the rules that are out there. Like, I mean, it's a shame you can't fly them in national parks and everything, but like, if you have everyone and their dog flying a drone, you're gonna have like littered drones all over the place, and it's just like, what's the point?
Well, people are gonna be crashing. Yeah. And, I think you can actually fly in national parks and provincial parks if you go through the right steps, right? So if you have a SFOC and then you approach the park, you can actually get certain certificates to fly in those areas. I know the national parks are very hard to fly in. Like they're very strict. They don't want any disturbances to the nature. They don't, there's a ton of stuff they don't want, but if it's a certain case, they might allow it. So
probably if you're promoting it and you're hired by the
promoting
company.
Alberta, promoting BC, promoting whatever. Exactly.
Yeah. So wait, just what were the steps you went through to start writing these SFOCs to start? Like you had to do some sort of course, right?
Well, no, you don't actually have to do it. Well, there is a test you have to take. Yeah. There's a few tests you have to take. You have to take a radio operation certificate test, which just means you can speak on a radio.
ROC?
Or ROCA. It's called a ROCA. And it just makes it so you can speak on the radio if you have to communicate with any air traffic. And they want that just in case there are scenarios.
Right.
And then you have to write another test, which is available through CanDrone. And that's just a simple test, just a knowledge test. And you get, just so they know that you're not going to be renegade with your flying. Yeah. So you submit those, and then the SFOC is like a 40 to 60 page document, kind of in that ballpark, that just outlines what you're going to do, where you're going to fly, how long you're going to fly for, what are your dates, what drone you're flying. It's like very detailed. It's kind of like every detail, like what do you do if you crash? What are you going to do? You're going to grab this fire extinguisher, you're going to take this fire out. So it's very, very detailed in that sense. But, you'd apply for that, you'd fill out this 40 to 60 page document, which some people do. Like you can actually pay them and they'll do the document for you. You just tell them all the information and they'll do it for you. You can do it yourself, but there's no real template online. Okay. So you kind of have to get some information or guess. So
are you saying 40 to 60?
40 to 60 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, is that why a good reason for you to work for a company, because they'd probably fill this stuff out in advance and have it sorted for you?
So the thing is with if you're going through another, and there's a ton of pilots that I know that have their own SFOCs, but they fly under umbrella companies.
Right.
Just because there are people at those companies that specialize in that stuff and that know how to communicate with Transport Canada, and that take that time where some of us want to just be focused on the cinematography aspect, the artistic part. So that's kind of where that stands. But yeah, I mean, as far as the document goes, it's just safety procedures, where you're flying, what time you're flying, how long you're flying for, what drone you're flying, who's a part of your crew.
Right.
Kind of that whole thing.
Super detailed stuff.
So, just someone who wants to kind of pursue maybe a career or just is interested in getting better at droning or getting like their license, would you recommend, like, how did you start? Would you go to the States and go get a license there? Or would you start?
I mean, it depends where you're flying, right? Like if you're from Canada, it's not going to be that's not going to make much sense to go to the States and get a license.
But I'm thinking they might grandfather people with States licenses.
No, that won't happen. Just because it's different laws, different air
Right.
traffic laws. So it's like they're going to separate licenses.
Yeah, okay.
And Canada's a little more vigorous with the laws, like right now, because if you go in the States, it's a multiple choice
Transport
test.
Canada is a tough cookie to crack.
Oh, they're a tough cookie. You guys are listening. Tough cookies. But yeah, I think if you're starting out, move this away a bit. If you're starting out, I'd recommend to take the time, do your due diligence, learn the drone, learn the safety precautions. Don't go fly over cities. Don't go fly, don't do these risky things that a ton of people have. I'm not saying that I have, but a ton of us have done when we first get a drone because it's exciting. You want to fly it everywhere and you want to get amazing shots and you want to fly over the city. So do your due diligence. Don't get a fine. The fines are huge. I think
What are they?
I think right now they're like $5,000 minimum. Jeez. I guess it depends. I know Alexi got one. What was Alexi's?
I don't know how big it was, but he definitely got
was
he almost got taken to
$5,000?
court, and that's your name permanently on the record. So I don't think you can make more than one of those mistakes.
It was it says $3,000.
Okay,
$3,000.
$3,000.
Yeah.
That's not small whatsoever.
No, it's not small, and they're definitely a lot more. I don't want to say lenient, but back then they were a lot more like fine heavy. Like they wanted to throw them everywhere.
Yeah.
Where
Make
now
everyone an example.
exactly right. Where now they're like a little more. They pulled back a bit and they've realized that it's an industry that people are trying to get into, and
Right.
they just want to teach people, right?
For sure.
So they want to be smart with people. They want to teach them, and they don't want to just start throwing fines because some of these people don't know, right? Some of these people are going out, and I know a lot of the drones in Canada, they actually come with, like, you order one from DJI and it'll come with a Transport Canada slip that says, don't do this, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this, do this.
Didn't get that one.
Yeah. Even if you got it, you probably wouldn't have listened to it anyways.
That's not true. I'm Coast Guard, boy.
Oh, okay.
Coast Guard.
Right, that's true.
So, like, how easy do people have it now? Because you were saying, like, when did you start droning? Like 5 years ago?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. Well, yeah. So like I said, earlier in this, the development of drones, like, and how, this drone we flew, the S800 with, I think it was like a Sony NEX 5 or something. I don't know what it was, but terrible quality, 720p, like. Looks
Nothing.
terrible. And now people have this Mavic 2 that shoots 4K 60 FPS, and you're just like mind blown because it does all the moves for you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so I think that's a bit weird in that sense.
Anyway, yeah. What the hell was that? I'm with you on that though. Like I'm looking at like guys that got the Phantom 1, 2, and they really had to fly it. And I just got my Mavic 2 months ago, and I've looked at all the YouTube videos, which are there's so many videos on
So many videos.
and also there's all these auto modes. I press a button and it does a pull away for me.
Crazy.
It pans around me safely. It has all the sensors on it, which you didn't have before. But as I said to you yesterday, I've taken a step back and just learned to fly it by myself, take off the sensors, go through some dodgy situations, and actually like learn instead of just letting the computer do everything for me.
Because the computer will crash eventually.
I did crash when I was in the trees at Garibaldi, and I broke the propeller. But
exactly.
Anyway,
so yeah, I think, like, I guess back to your question there, how easy do people have it? It's crazy. It's developed like insane. But what I've noticed is even though it's developed like crazy and drones are so available, people still want quality, right? They still want quality pilots. They still want people that know what they're doing. They still want people that know how to frame a shot. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier. You can go shoot a pull away. You can go shoot like a tracking shot of a car and just let the drone do its thing. But at the end of the day, that's not going to get the composition from a human eye, right? So these TV shows, these movies, these commercials, they're still going like, yeah, I know. I've noticed a lot of them, like the producers or the directors or the DPs, they have drones with them, right? They have Inspires. Sometimes they have Mavics. So like in some cases, they'll be like, oh, we'll just do it, or we'll just do our own drone stuff. And sometimes they don't get their SFOCs. They kind of do a little renegade, but a lot of them starting to realize that even if you can, throw a Mavic on a flight intelligent mode, you're not going to get the same shot that
not at all.
that a pilot or that a experienced DP could throw on that same flight intelligent mode, but know how to control it and get that shot, right? So I think people have it easy, but there's still that
the artistic element.
The artistic
that you still got to learn. Yeah.
Everything's cheaper now too. Like I got my drone for like $1,200 or something like that. Before they were, I don't know how much they're.
Oh, I think we spent like this S800 rig was 10,000
yeah,
plus.
Exactly.
And I mean, that being said, like my Inspire kit is probably 25 grand. But
wow,
that Inspire kit is like, it shoots 6K raw, like 30 minutes in the air. I can put like a 12 mil, 35 mil, 50 mil. I can put all these different lenses and has a Super 35 sensor, so it matches up with like the Arri Alexa and the Red Epic, and it looks beautiful, right? It looks like an amazing image, and like not taking away from the Mavic image, but the Mavic looks very digital and looks very. I mean, the Inspire does too, but the Mavic's just very like. It's not raw. You don't have that same leverage. So you can get beautiful stuff out of the Mavic. You can get beautiful stuff out of the Phantom. You can get beautiful stuff. Like I've seen people push the Mavic and push the Phantom to like crazy. I'm like, is that Inspire? Like, and there's different tools for different jobs, right?
Of course.
So, we were up shooting last night, and it's like there's some things that you can just fly so much more smooth on a Mavic, or so much more smooth. You can fly through tighter spaces. So, if you're only going to Instagram, sometimes it's worth it to only have a Mavic. Or if you're going on a long hike and you want to bring, a Ronin S, a DSLR, and then you throw your, Inspire 2 in the bag, you're gonna be carrying the heaviest packpack ever.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you're a traveler, especially, it's portability.
Exactly.
And like the Mavic for me, the Air was it's like this big. I can fit it in my knapsack in my pocket if I have big enough pockets for my jacket. But you're not going to carry it in the spot. You got to have a big. How big is the bag for that thing? It's a case, isn't it?
It's like you look at I carry this bag around, and people are like, "What is this kid carrying? He's carrying a body in there or something?" Like it's just this like big square on your back, and it's like. It's super cumbersome, but it's like it depends, right? It depends what you want for the job. Like I've carried that. I mean, I've brought the big drones, like the ones with the big 8 arms, up ridges in the middle of BC, right? Like it just depends what you're trying to shoot. So some people still require these bigger drones. Some people don't. Tool,
it's not
right? Tool.
How big it is.
It's how you use
fly
it.
That.
The motion of the ocean.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for a while now.
Lie,
you've traveled the world. You've had some. Obviously, your Instagram is amazing. All your photos, your videos, and so you've made some really good connections along the way. Tell us about some of the people you've met, some of the biggest, impressions that people have had on you, and how that's kind of forwarded your own personal career that you want to do, like your own personal Instagram and stuff, your brand, I guess.
Yeah, of course. So I think I've kind of come through this interesting industry, like I've told a lot of people, is like I came up through the action sports world where a lot of filmmakers come through the film school route, and it's a complete different route, right? Like I get to meet these, athletes, these entertainers, like these DJs, I get to meet a ton of different people, right? Connect where, the film school route you do, but it's a different beast, right? So I think with the encapsulation of Instagram and how the Instagram scenes come about, I actually was able to grow my Instagram originally through the action sports route, because I'm posting all these action pieces, and I'm not posting, snippets from a short film, because that's not going to blow up on Instagram. That's not how Instagram works, right? So I think it's been amazing. It's been an amazing tool that's been, you travel and you meet people, you're at home, you meet people, like you just connect. Like, that's how I met you guys, right? Was through Instagram, right?
100%.
So I've been able to meet a ton of people through this amazing platform, and I think, at least how I met through you guys was originally Sam Calder was in town, and he was staying with me in Gastown there, and I think it was Alexi that was messaging Sam, and through Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So Sam and Alexi this is how I met Alexi, not Sam, but.
But still.
They were able to connect, and then I was able to connect with Alexi, which introduced me to you guys. So it's just such an amazing app that brings people together. And I think like even with Sam, it was, we originally connected maybe on Facebook, but, started talking through Instagram, and then I did a trip with them they came to BC. Him and
I
Jacob
saw that
Burkhardt.
video.
Yeah, and Jacob Burkhardt came to BC, and we shot for 2 weeks here. I was actually hired by Destination British Columbia to go shoot with them because I have my drone certificate, which allowed us to connect. We'd been talking before, but he was doing a vlog for Destination BC, and they needed someone with their drone permit. They're like, oh, we'll just hire Zach, and then Zach will come out with you guys.
Perfect.
And it worked great because we got to go in helicopters, and we got to go shoot cliff jumping, and we got to go shoot all this amazing stuff in Whistler, Vancouver, kind of the
I saw that
area.
video. It was pretty epic.
It's a great video. Yeah.
You were involved in that.
Yeah.
Super
So
directly.
I didn't know that until
it was that was an amazing week. And then, Sam, Jacob, and I had been talking for a few weeks after that. And we're like, let's go somewhere, let's go somewhere warm. So I met up with them, I think, in Philippines. We did a week in Philippines, and then we did a week in Hong Kong, and then a week in Thailand. And it's amazing that this, all from this one app, right? Connected us.
Yeah.
And
social media, man.
exactly, social media. So it's wild. I've met a ton of other people. I've gone on trips to Hawaii. I've gone on trips, I've met people down in LA. You just you're able to connect with everyone from your phone.
Yeah.
And it's
so
you're
good.
able to make new business relationships. You're able to make new friendships,
Right.
all this stuff. And I've been in sticky situations where I've I need this piece of camera gear in a certain place, or I need a drone in this certain place, and you post on Instagram and someone has it there.
Yeah.
And you're just oh, this is amazing, right? So
the ability to network.
The ability
when
to
you're
network is
traveling.
beyond me.
Yeah.
And I think it's great.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, everywhere we've gone, there's always someone amazing that's reached out to us, either via our personals or high in life, and it's just we get a new story, new experience every single time, whether it be they take us in and show us their hometown, especially on the road trip, especially when we were in Bali. We came real hot, didn't know anyone there. We dropped one message on, I think, Facebook on Instagram. It said we're having a party, and then we had 30 plus influencers in the area just show up, and then we had our entire friends for 2 months just from that one party.
Yeah. You
Just
get to
from
hang out with these people for 2 months,
From a
shoot
couple
with them.
tippity tap.
That's
boom,
right.
we got friends.
One
That's
of the big,
Damn friends. Internet friends.
one
No
of the biggest
fake
things
friends.
that plagues us once in a while is you get the comment oh yeah, you're the kids of rich parents.
Yeah.
Do you ever get that?
Oh, that's the worst.
I think
Do you
that's
get
for
that?
anyone.
I've had an interesting one through that. I don't think I've really gotten it directly, but I've definitely had some people tell me oh yeah, this person is, just bashing you, saying, oh, rich parents, and
Right.
that one gets me going for sure because I actually grew up with a single mom who didn't have a ton of money. Barely, I barely made it through high school. I barely made it through, buying my own camera gear. I was chipping in for rent at some point, and she was giving me her everything. Obviously, she's the most amazing mother ever, and everything she can do for me. But there's a certain limit, especially with camera gear. It's your $3,000-$4,000 pieces of camera gear, and so watching a lot of my friends grow up in Whistler, it's a very, very wealthy town. So all my friends are getting these new ski gear, new camera, whatever they want kind of thing. And I guess in the long run, I actually appreciate the fact that my mom, as much as she did give me, wasn't able to give me everything because it made me work for it and made me appreciate it that much more. She told me a story a few years ago where one of her clients was, she just wanted her son to do something. And she went out and bought everything for her son to go film and to go shoot stuff. And he just wasn't interested, right?
Yeah,
He was threw in the towel right away. And I think going out and working for it and developing that skill set is going to make you appreciate it that much more. So I am forever grateful for that, even though she didn't, even I couldn't have everything. It's in the long run, it's been more beneficial to not have everything because you work for that piece of camera gear, then you appreciate it that much more. When it breaks, you appreciate it that much more, right? So when my drone fell out of the sky, I wasn't oh, credit card, let's go. I was I need to find a new drone, or I need to find a way to get a new drone, or I need to reach out to DJI and be hey, can you guys help me with a new drone, or something in that sense, where I always had that in the back of my mind, where I was always either messaging someone to get a product or, exchanging my services for a place to stay in Mexico, or, I think when I was 14, I was like, that was all I was doing when we were going on vacations. Like, I think every time we would go on a vacation, I'd just shoot a video for that place and we'd have that place for free.
Oh, you were doing that when you were 14 years old?
yeah.
What the
Crazy,
heck?
man.
So-
Jeez.
So I
These
think
young guns these days, man, they're just killing it.
Well, so I think that was an interesting conversation that I had with Alexi too. Was like he had no clue, and when I was telling him that, he's like, "Well, shit, like
Yeah.
That's just
you know,
a
you're
very
just-
natural thing for you.
It's a natural thing, and I think it was a natural thing because my mom wasn't like. There's some cases where it was
Right.
beneficial for me to go do that. So, you know, F-Stop camera bags was a huge supporter of me when I was younger because I couldn't necessarily afford a $500 backpack.
What
So
year was that when they started
it must have been like 14 or 13.
2014?
Yeah.
No. I'm
Oh, you were 14.
14,
Sorry.
so it
14.
must like 8 years ago.
Shit.
Wow.
So-
Yeah,
That's crazy.
So like when I was 14, they were, you know, sending me bags and I was just sending them photos or I was just talking about them and they were just open to it. So there was a few other companies, Kenyan Labs, they sent me this like $4,000 stabilizer when I was younger.
Crazy.
And they trusted me with it. I don't know why.
I
but
wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust
Yeah.
me either. I still don't trust me.
I guess like kind of goes to speak though, like it's kind of fortunate but unfortunate. Instead of you buying a bunch of ski gear and just following all your friends to do something, you got to, you know, slow down, realize you couldn't have all that, and then focus on something that you're passionate about.
Exactly.
And then look where you are
And now it's turned into a career, and
Yeah.
now I get to travel the world and
That's crazy.
skydive out of planes.
You
and, like,
definitely noticed that transition in your Instagram because I was scrolling all the way back and I was like,
creepy,
whoa. It's,
creepy me, eh?
Yeah, I was
we,
creepy.
well, we
What were we trying to
totally
find
creeped
there?
you.
Yeah, we totally
Find the
creeped
dirt
you.
on you, man. Dirt underneath the fingernails.
I was looking at stuff when you still had to put white borders over
Yeah, I
them or
know.
stuff like
This
that.
is huge.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
hey, that was a phase. That was an Instagram
That was a
phase.
Instagram
yeah.
phase,
Yeah.
and like the transition from like I'm just shooting like random stuff
I'm
of
just here for a
skiers.
good time.
Speaking of really untimely, awkward transitions, tell me about FAST MOX.
Okay, so apparently you have a brand, right? Like you have a brand of a character, and he's
Oh my God. There he is. There he is, everybody.
Okay, I'll be honest. When I first experienced the FAST MOX, I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I don't want to be around this type of energy. But I was
it's too much.
no. But then I was
make
like,
sure you don't catch.
He has
any
like
of my- make sure you-
36
make sure
pairs
you-
of these
Make
in
sure
his
you cut out
apartment.
all of the smiling because that is not on brand.
okay, yeah. So where did this come about?
That's a good question.
how did it come
so
about?
I have this friend Liam from Vancouver, and we'd going out in the city, we'd always just kind of joke around, and I think they were wearing fast shades at one point. I'm like, they're
Wait. What's fast shades?
They're pretty
These are
fast.
fast shades, so they're small kids' glasses.
Okay, is this the
And-
name of the thing?
What?
This fast thing.
No, they just look fast.
No, they
Look
just
how
look
fast they look.
Look like it's.
Okay, I get it. Okay, I get
You
it.
just
Okay,
explained it all there in sound effects.
I get it.
So yeah, we'd go out, we'd go in the city, and
Yeah.
I think they were just like wearing these little kids' glasses on. You guys look like idiots, and I'm like,
Right.
they're in the club, and I'm like, you guys are so dumb, and everyone was loving it. The chicks were loving it, like everyone was loving it. I'm like, why do people love those? And then I put a pair on, and I'm like, these are kind of cool.
Right.
And I just started wearing them, and then I'd wear them here and there, like not every day, but I went to Hawaii back in February, and I'd been wearing them like a couple times jokingly in the city, and like I'll throw them on here and there, and then like I found like the smallest pair I've ever had in Hawaii. You guys could maybe even put in a clip here, or like we could link the video, but like they're just like these like microscopic shades. And
Do you still have them, or
no, they're MIA.
Okay.
I've had a few pairs go down.
rest in peace?
Yeah.
And these microscopic shades, and just something about it. Like people always call me Mox, like it's easier
Right.
than Zachary and Zach, and it kind of sticks a little more.
Yeah.
And then we're just like FAST MOX, it's just kind of like sticks, right?
Yeah.
So
for
you
sure.
didn't come up with the name yourself.
Well, no, it was kind of like a developing name.
Yeah,
because you can't give yourself a nickname.
No,
That's the
that's-
rule.
that's a little
cardinal
weird.
rule. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
checking.
So we got FAST MOX, and then I wore them in Hawaii, and we filmed videos with them, and they looked ridiculous, and people were like, you look ridiculous. I'm like, I'm ridiculous.
Yeah. So like,
I
is
think-
this? I'm sure like your Instagram fans are all like, bring out FAST MOX, bring out FAST MOX. Do they do that?
You have a
I-
separate page for it too, don't you?
I thought about making one, but I'm like, why not just throw all my eggs into one basket,
You have it on the
Yeah.
highlights of your page.
Yeah,
I've
you
seen
have
it.
it on
saw
the
that.
highlights, and like sometimes I'll post, like, I don't know if you guys want to put this photo in, but like
We're live,
the one,
Mox.
the one
We're live right now. We can't
no, we're
post
not
anything.
live. That's a lie. Damn it. The one with the snake around me. That's
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah, we're actually going to talk about these.
We
some of
wanted
these
to bring up a
photos.
couple
Yeah.
photos.
Okay.
And
Okay,
that was one of my
so
favorites.
we're going to bring this up. Hold up here. Okay, so I'm going to throw this up onto the camera. I don't know if you can see this. It's, oh crap. Oh, sorry.
Did you put something bad up there?
No. Okay, here. Can y'all see this?
We were going to put it on the big screen, but we didn't have
Yeah.
enough time.
Yeah.
Next
I
time.
see it.
So
Episode 4.
for those listening, it's a picture.
Show it to so does
It's a
Mox,
picture
too.
of Zach Mox sitting in somewhere in Mexico with
yeah.
a pool behind him
That's a good
and a
one.
snake around him with his FAST MOX glasses on. And who's that next to you? Candace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, talk about this. What is this?
How?
That was an interesting trip. So we were down in Mexico, and this is kind of like where I jump back and forth from like my freelance world to like the Instagram world, and this is one that actually connected the two.
Okay.
I don't think I've really talked about this yet, so we can get into that after if
Sweet,
you guys want.
sure.
But we're down in Mexico shooting a music video, and the whole week I'd been like, oh, I need to I haven't posted on something on Instagram in a while. I kind of want like a funny photo, like this FAST MOX thing. I'll get a funny photo. And then the next day, someone's like, oh, yeah, like tomorrow we're going to have this big snake. And I detest snakes. I'm like, I can't stand them. And, but I'm like, that's an amazing opportunity. Like all these rap artists are like, let's throw a snake around us. Like this looks sick. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's switch it up. Let's throw in the tiny shades. And I've been like trying to get a photo all afternoon. And I have like a couple more of me like standing, holding the snake. And then like one like in a chair with like, okay light, and then like we set up this scene for like the music video, and I'm like, this is the perfect scene. So it's like took me like probably 2 hours to get this photo, or like an hour and a half to get this photo, like in between the night, like trying different things, and I find the perfect scene. I'm like, let's do it. So we throw this big snake around me. This thing's like monstrous, and I'm like, oh my god, don't eat me. And I was like freaking out, but didn't eat me, long story short.
Yeah.
That's good. I guess.
Looks like you're safe.
Unfortunately, it didn't eat me. And we got this photo with Candace there.
Is she the
It's
singer?
a great photo.
She was a dancer in the video.
Ah.
And I thought, tossing a little more oomph to the
Of course.
photo.
No, it's a good photo. I guess you're right. All these trips you're doing when you're shooting, it's never about you. So
We're going to disengage for a sec.
it's never about you. So you don't really get an opportunity to shoot a bunch of content for yourself, I guess.
Yeah, so I think that's a... Oh, I'm going to go a little louder there.
No,
It's
you're
his
good.
first
You're
time.
good.
So I think that's a kind of maybe what I wanted to segue into is the difference between like the Instagram stuff and like you go on my page and you're like, oh, what does he do? Is he a videographer? Is he a photographer? Is he like, what does he do? And a lot of people just think I'm a photographer, but I just don't post a lot of my stuff on my Instagram that I actually shoot. Like a lot of the video content that I shoot, isn't posted on there just because it's for clients. It's for stuff that like
When you license it to them, can you not post it yourself?
I can't. It's a bit of a mix. So there's some jobs where you go on that they have like their restraints and they want you to wait till the video is released, or you actually can't post it because you're under an NDA, or most of the time you can post it, but it just fully depends on what you're
trying to do.
What you're trying to do. So I think that's an interesting one because a lot of these people in the scene, in the Instagram scene, are making money strictly through Instagramming. I know there's a ton that also do the freelance route too, but that's one where I actually make my money from. Like Instagram, I haven't really done a ton of brand deals. I mean, it's linked me with people. It's brought me to, like, the Mexico job was through Instagram. He saw a video on DJI's page and he reached out to me. And that's like, I think the coolest thing is that someone can watch a video across the world, and then you get a call literally as he's watching the video.
Yeah.
And he's like, he DMs you, he's like, what's your phone number? And he
Right.
pick up the phone like 2 minutes later and I'm in Mexico, or I think I was in Costa Rica at the time. And he's like, I want to bring you down to the shoot. I'm like, amazing. Like, just from seeing this Instagram video, right?
Yeah.
Just from like this one person posting an Instagram video, you get paid from it. You get to go down to Mexico. It's just such a unique thing. So I think that's great about the Instagram world, but there also there's a lot of competition in there too. And there's a lot of competition in the freelance world. So I think it's great to be able to bring the two together and use that to get other jobs, or to bring you together with other people so you guys can collaborate on projects, because you can find people who are like-minded, who are in the same industry, who shoot, different styles. So that's what I think is great about Instagram. But like I said, is a lot of my jobs actually come through the freelance world.
Right. So you're still technically like freelancing and working with companies and working
exactly.
with,
Exactly. So I'm still like, my day to day is like, I'll post on Instagram, I'll do all that stuff too, and I'll go on like hikes with you guys, or we'll go do, some content shooting, and like all the personal stuff I do is usually on Instagram. But then like a lot of my day to day is like I'll go out and drone for a day, and I'll freelance drone for, a certain project, or I'll go out and I'll DP. Like I think I did a few DP jobs, which is director of photography, or, I was at a festival this summer, Shambhala, and I was doing a lot of the cinematography for that, and I was on a festival or an IMAX film this spring, and we were shooting a dog film, which kind of cool. And I'll just do jump back and forth between these different things, and I love it because I get to do the cinematography stuff that I love to do and the drone stuff that I love to do, but then I get to go do the personal stuff on Instagram. I just want to branch the two together.
It's like finding a fine line, start getting into more brand deals.
Exactly.
With your personal, and then companies start noticing that you can work with large brands, and then the money can roll in. Eventually, you start monetizing, and then I'd love to see how you're going to make those two worlds mesh together.
For sure, and
it's exciting.
Speaking of like brand deals, like I'm sure you've worked with like certain brands. Like who have you worked with?
Yeah, so there's been a couple brands that I've worked with. Just did a partnership with RYU.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so
What are they?
So they're
Universe.
Respect Your Universe. They're an athletic brand in I think they're all around North America, but I think they started in Vancouver. And I was fortunate enough, I actually just finished my skydiving license back in April, and they've reached out and they're like, hey, like we want to do this at like one of their filmmakers is a good friend of mine. So like, hey, we want to do this project with you, and they want to get a helicopter and they want me to drop out of the helicopter. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not going to say no to that.
No, of course
not.
And
so I got to do that with them, and it was amazing. Got to do 3 jumps out of a helicopter and get some amazing content. So I think that's also a great thing is you'll do these freelance jobs or you'll do these Instagram jobs, but then you get content for both, right? So like on some certain ones that allow it, I'll get to shoot my own stuff, or I'll get to use some of that stuff for my personal or for my Instagram, and that way I can start building relationships with these brands. So
that's
I think a lot of the stuff that I'm going to focus on in the next little bit is actually outreach. So reaching out to these other brands, showing, hey, like I've worked with these companies. I can, I do both sides. I do the content creation, and I do, I have this page that I promote it on, or, I can do drone stuff for you guys. It's kind of just a mix, right?
Right. And you already have that kind of experience when you were saying like I was 14 and reaching out to places and I'm doing stuff for them already. So that's kind of like built into you. The outreach.
So I find it an interesting thing now because every time, like I don't want to say every time, but the past, year or 2 years I've been reaching out, it's a lot of emails I get back are like, hey, like we have 10, 20 of these emails coming in a day now. Right? Like we're back when I used to send them out. They'd be like, yeah, sure. Sounds good, right? Here are your bags. Here, you can stay here. No problem. Like they've never gotten this email. So for them, someone to come to them and be like, hey, we'll give you a video for this, or we'll, do this for you. They were so open to it, where now it's a little more reserved because everyone's doing it. So you really have to set yourself aside. You have to offer them drone services. You have to offer them an amazing polished video. You have to offer them like, hey, we'll promote you on this channel. We have these channels that are bigger, bigger than these people or bigger than this. So I think you really have to be different. You have to diversify yourself. And like, that's what I don't want to say specialize in, but like I do a bunch of different stuff, right? Photography, directing, cinematography, drone piloting. You try to just do a bunch of different things. So you can offer someone, you got to offer someone value when you're asking for something, right? So I find that a huge thing for me is like when you approach someone, approach a company, approach a brand, offer value all the time, because 100 people, not even me, but like I know I have some friends who like, they get hundreds and hundreds of messages. They're like, hey, like I want to shoot with you. Hey, like I want to do this. Hey, let's go on a trip. And you're like, well, like what are you providing for this person, right? Like they get so like, you got to think about this person has 365 days a year. Why do they want to spend 7 of those days with you who they've never met,
Yeah.
right? Or why do they want to spend, 8 hours of a day with you who they've never met when they don't even get to spend 8 hours a day with their parents or with their friends or with people they haven't hung out with in a while? So like, why do they want to give that time to you? You got to give them value. You got to provide them value. And I think an interesting one for me is, and Rob Stroke and I joke about this all the time, is he's a travel influencer on Instagram, and he does video stuff too. We do kind of similar stuff. He's submerged in the Instagram scene. I'm more submerged in the freelance world. But I hadn't met him actually up until I think it was last October. And we, so about a year ago now. And I DM'd him like probably 2 years ago. I'm like, hey, let's shoot. Like, I have a Red, I have this drone. Like, what can I do for you? Right away, right? So I said I had a Red, and at the time I did have a Red, and I was like, hey, I can provide you this, like, let's shoot this. And like that, that makes most people stoked, right? And like, I don't want to say like go buy a ton of things to provide to someone, but like if you have something that you can provide, offer it up, right?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be more enticing. So long story short, we ended up going on a trip to Faroe Islands, and I brought my Inspire 2. We ended up getting some amazing footage, right? And it provided him value. And now we're really good friends. We traveled together, we got our skydiving licenses together. It's like I've provided him value. He's brought me on trips. He's, introduced me to certain people and, helped grow my Instagram. So it's like I've provided him value. He's helped me in return. So I think like at the end of the day, offer value, provide value.
I think that goes for any kind of job or situation.
Anything, yeah,
right?
of
Like
course.
Any corporate job, there's going to be 1,000 resumes on your desk, but the ones that stand out that have, proven excellent cinematography for like an Instagram or something like that. If you have your drone pilot's license and more stuff, and you just stand out above the rest, you're going to get selected probably more than anyone else, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's a good tip.
I think it's an interesting tip that I'm going in with too right now is. And like why I want to branch the two together, it's because I came from this freelance world of movie making, and like I can make the content, but I also now have like I know channels to promote it through. Like I've done work with Red Bull, so I can like these other companies, these other brands, so I can provide in the sense like distribution and provide the creation side of things, right? Or like I want to be like, hey, like if I go into a project that was notorious in the freelance world. I can also provide them, hey, I can promote this through my Instagram channels, right? Where some freelancers who only have a couple thousand followers or who only, have these small channels, they don't have anything to distribute it through, right?
Right. So you're basically like covering all the angles, all the bases for them, essentially. And I think like eventually, like, I think what's great about you is like you have a personal brand and you're also very talented in like, the behind the scenes stuff. And I think that's very beneficial.
Cheers.
Like moving forward.
Meh. I'm just kidding.
Loser.
He's great.
Cut.
Yeah, so we're like just approaching the 1 hour mark here, so I think we're going to wrap it up soon. So
I'm going to re-engage for the end of
you
this.
can re-engage
Wants
Mr.
to
Fast
speed
MOX
these
for this.
things up. Oh yeah, how's your finger, by the way?
Oh, look at this. You want to zoom in on this? We got a nice
fast.
little bruise.
Where'd you get that from?
Slamming my hand in the door yesterday being too fast.
Oh, dude. I mean, eventually for your brand, are you going to like have a like fans of you called Fasties?
Fasties.
Or Moxies?
Well, I was thinking about making a set of like making glasses and handing them out.
Get on Shopify, drop ship 1,000 of those things. Just put a link in your bio and just start selling those things.
Or I could hand out like 1,000 free ones with just
For
like
sure.
hashtag Fast MOX.
Like, we should just like go on the street and hand them out.
And then you'll be down in like Europe somewhere, and then some kids, this whole family's gonna be wearing your glasses. Like, oh my god, is that Fast MOX guy?
I recognize
I
you.
hope that happens. I really do.
I hope it does.
For sure. So yeah, I think we're just gonna wrap up here. I don't know if do you have any more questions, bro?
No, man. I'm.
One thing I was gonna say, you wanted to talk about, and we were definitely feeling this was like, 22 years old, you're already doing all this kind of stuff. 22, what were you doing, Justice?
Man, 22. I was in the middle of like paramilitary school for the Coast Guard, getting my marine engineering degree.
You told me about that.
So
yeah.
I literally took the safe route. I went to school, got my degrees, and now I feel like I'm really just catching up with the world of people that started when they're younger, which is fine. It's all good, but I love that people feel motivated and capable like you, and a lot of the friends that I've met through you that just kind of picked up a camera and had a passion and wanted to go do it, and they were creating some amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if I have one closing remark, it's, I mean, it's going to sound cliche, but follow your dreams. Like, just push and do everything you can do to do those, because at the end of the day, if you're doing what you love to do, it's like it's going to be ultimately more satisfying and beneficial when you succeed in that. There. If you're doing something that you don't want to do a 9 to 5 that you're just dragging away on. And I think, like, don't doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Never
100%.
doubt yourself. Because if you doubt yourself, like, as soon as you doubt yourself, it's going to be like...
I think, you are the walking, breathing truth of you can do things when you're younger. Right?
Oh, it's true. It's
but, like,
true.
the thing for me is like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was lost until, like, I was like 25 or something.
22 years old. I wasn't even Canadian citizen.
Yeah.
A Canadian citizen.
It's making nasi
When did you
goreng.
start speaking English? Last year?
Yeah, I probably, That's when I was allowed to start speaking English, because the original country was like, don't speak English yet.
Yeah, that's great. But anyways, man, you thanks for coming on the show. You are literally inspired to a lot of people out there.
All right, so closing remarks. Follow Fast MOX on Instagram. He is at Down to Film on Instagram.
DTF.
He is very DTF, down to film.
Yeah. Film. Not the other word you're thinking of, you dirty people.
We are just going to close off and follow us on all our channels, etc., etc., etc.
Let's prompt them to do something. Questions, people you want to bring on for our next show.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have comments or things that you want us to change, want us to add.
Follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams. If you can, you should, obviously. I don't know. You guys just spread the love down in the comments. Let us know what you want to see, and we will start ramping these things up.
For sure. And with that being said...
Nasi.
No, yeah. Okay, cut. Done. Thanks, Mox. Good stuff, man.